Evening. The board voted 6-4 and 1 abstention to issue a notice of unprofessional conduct to a faculty member. Thank you. So good evening. Seeing a quorum present for the March 21st meeting of the Board of Trustees will come to order. Roll call, please.
Dr. Fellow?
Here.
Mr. Osterling?
Here.
Mr. Hilsman?
Here.
Ms. Brown?
Here.
Mr. Martin?
Here.
Dr. Selvage?
Here.
Ms. Wah?
Here.
Ms. Ekshian?
Here.
Thank you. Ms. Brown, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Certainly. Please stand. Repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The first order of business is approval of the agenda. And I believe we want to table one item, Ms. Wah, today, the item dealing with
So I request that we table the election for the CCLC or Triple CT candidates. They just are getting their interview or their election information out now. I think that the trustees deserve a chance to kind of see the promotional materials. And we have until April 24th to submit our final ballot. So I recommend that we vote the first meeting in April. That gives all the trustees a chance to see all the candidates.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. The motion will be to accept the agenda in tabling item number 3 under the action item. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion. I'll second that motion. Student, any further discussion? Student trustee?
Aye.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously with the student trustee in the affirmative. Okay, let me go back. Introductions and recognitions. Dr. Verdian?
We don't have any tonight.
Thank you very much. Public comments on non-agenda items. Any this evening?
Yes, I have one request for comment from Alejandro Chavez. You will have 3 minutes to comment. And you'll see the red light go off when, warning light, and then red light will go off when you're done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Alejandro Chavez. I am the Vice President for Business Affairs for Associated Students. But I am here today as an international student from Mexico City. I will speak today on behalf of many of my fellow international students. I am here because I find myself concerned about the future of the next generation of international students who will be part of this great institution. I want to acknowledge the great work that Pathways program has and continues doing for all international students and the great opportunities that PCC offers for every student without exception. But I will be honest when I say that I am a little dissatisfied with the services offered uniquely for international students. PCC is a top 10 community college, but some of its services do not look like such. As international students, we have unique needs because we are in this country as guests, and there are certain standards and regulations that we must keep up to date if we want to continue studying here. Nevertheless, keeping up with assignments becomes difficult when we have to face housing, financial, and legal issues, and we cannot find the efficient help that can help make this transition smooth and easy. To give a few examples, a few weeks ago I received a call from my friend who is also from Mexico asking me for help. He needed to pick up his I-20, that is a document that allows us to enter the United States, from the International Students Office and send it to him through UPS so he could come back on time. I went to pick up the next morning the document and wait for my friend to deposit money on my bank account so I could ship it to him. My friend spent $60 for him to have the 3 pieces of paper that will allow him to come back. I believe that such an easy task could have been done by the office that is supposed to make sure that every international student enrolled comes back on time and safe. This is just one example of the many of my students, fellow students, consider as a continuous lack of efficient student service. The concern of many international students extend not only on these areas, but also in the personal ones, since many of us come to a new land with a new language and without any friends. As an associate student, I have started working with the different departments that have an impact on international student success by being in constant communication with the Pathways program, for example. But these concerns are not recent. There have been existed for many years, and now the recent increase in our tuition just makes me wonder if I will see a solution to them soon. Finally, I would like just to remind everyone that the mission of Pasadena City College is to provide a highly quality, academically robust learning environment that encourages, supports, and facilitates students' learning and success. The college provides is that the end of my time?
Just go ahead and wrap up.
Yes,
Thank
can I wrap it up? The college provides an academically rigorous and comprehensive curriculum for students pursuing educational and career goals, as well as learning opportunities designed from individual development. The college is committed to providing access to higher education for members of diverse communities with the district service area and offering courses, programs, and other activities that enhance the economic conditions and the quality of life in these communities. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Mr. Chavez.
Mr. Chavez. That's it?
Yes.
The next order of business is the approval of the minutes for the regular business meeting, February 22nd, 2018. I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
We have a motion from Ms. Brown, a second from Ms. Waugh. Further discussion? Student trustee?
Aye.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
I
Opposed?
abstain, wasn't there.
Abstention. 6 ayes and 1 abstention. We also have to approve the minutes of a special meeting held March 9th, 2018. The wishes of the directors.
Motion for approval.
I'll second that. We have a motion and a second. Further discussion?
I'm abstaining too.
Okay, good.
I'm
Okay,
following
2
my
abstentions. Okay. All
colleague's
in-
lead here,
student
pushing
trustee?
the yellow button.
Huh? Okay, she doesn't do that. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? We have
Wait, what are we on?
we have
Two 3 abstentions and 4 ayes.
And the
Thank you.
student trustee abstained.
No,
She doesn't vote on that.
Okay.
We now go into consent items, and the first set of consent items deal with the with student items. The wishes of the trustees.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion from Mr. Hilsman, a second from Mr. Osterling. Further discussion? Student trustee?
Aye.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously with the student trustee in the affirmative. The second group of consent items deal with instruction. I'll entertain a motion to approve unless you want something pulled.
Move to approve.
Second?
We have a motion from Ms. Waugh, a second from Ms. Brown. Further discussion? Student trustee?
Aye.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously with the student trustee in the affirmative. The next group of items deal with business. The wishes of the trustees.
Move approval?
Second.
We have a motion from Ms. Brown, a second from Mr. Hilsman. Yes.
I'd like to pull item F13 for discussion and separate vote.
Okay, we will pull F13.
Thank you.
Okay. At this point, we'll move the calendar. Student trustee,
Aye.
all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously with the student trustee in the affirmative. We'll now take up item number 13. Mr. Osterling.
Mr. Chairman and Mr. President, on item 13, I understand from our trustee Q&A on this agenda item that this is to approve a contract for the E-building. And it's my understanding that this is before the DSA for review, but the DSA review has not yet been concluded. Is that the correct status?
I'm going to refer to Dr. Storti, Vice President for Business and Administrative Services.
That is the correct status. So work will not proceed until DSA gives the formal approval.
Right. What's the status of the DSA review? And by that I mean, how much longer might that take, and what types of things might possibly come out of their review, changes or whatever that they might order?
Working with DSA, it's often difficult to estimate the amount of time it'll take to remaining, but I'll ask our interim executive director, Todd Hampton, if he can comment on specifics related to the remaining time that he estimates.
For those of you in the audience, this is a measure that deals with the construction company for the geology lab E-building.
Hi there, thank you. Sadly, I have to kind of echo what Dr. Storti said. There's really no way to gauge exactly how long something's going to take at the DSA. It could be 6 weeks, it could be several months.
And what possibly might be changes that could come out of their review?
Typically, the changes that come out of their review would be, they would look at it and say maybe they want some different changes made to the restrooms, access changes. One of the things I believe that they wanted addressed when they had initially taken a look at this was some of the parking in, what was that, lot 7, the one over by on Bonnie. So it could really be kind of a lot of anything. It's a broad question.
So what the reason I pulled this, and the question or concern that I have is not knowing where this is going to come out from DSA review, and having done a lot of contracts myself, what I find is when I'm dealing with other agencies reviewing documents, they get changed, and then I put it out to bid because I'm not in change notice land before we even get started. So my question is there a reason that it's important to issue the contract now before the DSA review is finished?
Well, the reason why we're issuing the contract now is because we need to have a timeline by which to complete this project. If we wait until we get DSA approval and then go out to bid, we delay that project by an additional 7 to 8 weeks.
By the bid time.
By the
yeah.
bid time on top of the DSA approval time. So it has been the practice to always do the two at the same time, get the DSA approval and select the company that will do the work at the same time. Because if there is going to be a change order that will follow after that, the change order will apply to more or less all the companies, all the companies that are bidding for the project. And I do believe that we have up to, 10% in the change order?
Correct, 10%.
Right? 10%, so.
Okay, thank you. That's the information I was looking for. I would move to approve item F13.
Second.
We have Ms. Watt, did you have a comment?
I didn't, President Fellow, but I did want to make a comment on F20 after all the votes are in. Just a quick comment.
Okay, good. We have a a motion from Mr. Osterling and a second from Ms. Waugh. Further discussion? Student trustee?
Aye.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carries unanimously with the student trustee in the affirmative. Ms. Waugh?
So I did want to congratulate PCC then on getting the second wave of funding for Strong Workforce. I think this is a major initiative, and I think we're all looking forward in the community to seeing the progress. So one of the things that came up when I was at the state board meeting this last week was the importance of getting these key performance indicators in the scorecards. And so many of the trustees asked, why the chancellor's office wasn't, why some of this wasn't coming forward from the chancellor's office. But it really, one of the comments I made was it really surfaces, it needs to come from the local board levels. And so I think what would be helpful, and I'll ask for this when we ask for future agenda items, is that it's important that the trustees know what were the key performance indicators that we were able to accomplish to get this second wave of funding, and then what that future plan looks like for the second wave. And I think that's something our community wants to know, and I'll comment on that also under the API symposium and the information that came out. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Waugh. That's very good.
Abstain.
The next set of consent items deal with personnel issues, the wishes of the trustees.
Motion to approve. I'll second. You approve.
We have a motion from Ms. Brown, a second from Mr. Osterling. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carries unanimously. I do want to make one comment on item number 6. Tenure is a big thing, and I just want to congratulate Melissa Anderson, Rosemary Cervantes, Monica Cota, Misty Henry, Wendy Luco, Ryan Padgen, and Henry Sajins, and I think that's a big achievement. Okay, now we move to action items for this evening. The first action item is receipt of fiscal year 2016-2017 PCC Foundation financial audit.
Every year we do accept 2 audits. The board accepts 2 audits, one for the college and one for the foundation. And we have the same group of auditors that perform the audit for the 2 organizations. And this year, because of course, this year the audit was conducted by the same organization, by the same group, but because the contract of the group has expired and we have now a contract with a new group, the auditors have not been able to make it. We invited them to attend, but it is not ethically proper for them to come when they are no longer the auditors of the organization. They have submitted letters to Dr. Storti and to Ms. Abram, and I'm going to ask Dr. Storti to tell us about the status of the audit, and then if we have additional questions, Ms. Bobby Abram would be here to answer the questions for us.
I'm pleased to report that the audit firm Clifton, Larson, and Allen completed the audit for fiscal year ended June 30th, 2017, issued a clean, unmodified opinion on the financial statements. There were no findings, no management letter comments, so it's a very clean audit. Some highlights of the financial position of the foundation. Foundation total assets were just under $28.7 million for the year ended June 30th, 2017. Total support and revenue for last year was $3.8 million, and that was up from $2.9 million in the previous year. Total expenses were $2,584,000 last year compared to, which is slightly up from the previous year of just under $2.5 million. So overall, it's a clean audit, no findings, no management letter comments, and the financial position of the foundation is in a good state.
That information is in that envelope in front of you. And the last page is more or less what Dr. Storti just shared with you.
And the motion this evening is a motion to receive and file. Wishes of the trustees. Any questions?
I would just like to comment and congratulate Bobby and the president of the foundation, Jim Sarney, and the chair of our capital campaign, Jack Scott. I've been the liaison to the foundation and served on a couple of committees, one of which is chaired by President Fellow's wife. I would really commend them on all the great progress that they've made and the amount of funds that they've already raised to help our students. I also would direct your attention to several billboards that are coming out around town, including one at the Paseo and some other areas, as well as some other marketing efforts that they're making. So they're really putting a push on, and I've learned a lot watching them and seeing how complicated this process is, but they've really done a wonderful and very professional job, so I want to congratulate the foundation.
Would you like to make a motion since you're on the foundation?
Yes, I would like to move that we approve the receipt of the PCC Foundation financial audit.
Second.
We have a motion from Mr. Hilsman, a second from Ms. Waugh. Further discussion? Student trustee?
Aye.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Abstentions? Nays? Motion carries unanimously with the student trustee in the affirmative. Action item 2 tonight is approval of board policies. And this deals with the policies of our meetings.
This is a board bylaw, it should be. It's
Bylaws,
Board
yes.
Bylaw 2310, and as you know, the bylaws are the purview of the board members, and I would defer to you, Mr. President, to talk about this bylaw.
The wishes of the trustees. John, I think you had a good
I
point.
had a suggestion, but I'm comfortable the way it's worded. I was going to say, we could always change it to at least one, so we don't have to change it again if you want to go back to two. But then you spell out which days they are, so I'm just comfortable leaving it. Thank you.
I would move that we would approve this with John's requested modification.
We have a motion from Mr. Osterling, a second from Dr. Salvage. Further discussion?
What is the motion?
It's to approve this change, which would be to, that we meet once a month, but then with John's requested amendment that we say at least.
Instead, yeah, so shall be
Leaving the-
held at least
Once a month.
once a month.
So
So that if a board
Leaving the option open that we could. do
wants
more
to change to 2 regular meetings, you don't have to change the policy again.
And this conforms to many of the community colleges
good
that
with
hold one meeting, but I'm sure we'll be having more than that. Any other discussion?
Oh,
Oops,
oops,
student
sorry.
trustee.
Just a question. So are these policies for the upcoming academic year, or will it be administered from the April meeting?
It will be immediate.
Okay. Interesting.
Any other comments? Okay, student trustee.
Aye.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, abstentions, motion carries unanimously with the student trustee in the affirmative. We have tabled item number 3 this evening. Item number 4 is approval of additions, deletions, and modifications to the credit curriculum.
You will notice right in front of you there is a minor change brought to this item. There were a couple things missing in the item in the board docs, and I'm going to defer to Dr. Juni to address them.
So there were a couple of errors in the original, as Dr. Verdi mentioned, in the original item as presented, and so those are marked on the paper that you have in front of you. They also have been corrected on the version that's attached to the board docs. And so basically, that first course will go into effect in summer of 2018 as opposed to winter of 2019. The acronym for the course was left out. It's TVR 107. And then at the bottom of the page, the changes to the Associate in Arts and Natural Science is adding Bio 11H, not Bio 1H, and deleting Physio 2A, not Physio 2B.
We have made all those corrections in the official document.
Those corrections have been made in the official document that is actually connected to the board agenda. And so but since that happened after it was sent out to all of you, I needed to call it to your attention.
So the yellow highlight on Physio 2B under deletions means that it's not really supposed to be on the list?
Physio 2B is not on the list, but Physio 2A is.
Okay, so we should line out for
So-
clarity, put a line through or something.
Right, and the document that's attached that has those changes.
Here.
Right.
Doesn't
right.
have to be on it. Okay,
Right, so,
thank you.
so under deletions, Physio 2B is not on the list, but Physio 2A is.
Yeah.
And likewise, in regard to the additions, Bio 1H is not on the list, but Bio 11H is.
Okay, the recommendation this evening is to approve the modifications to the credit curriculum, the wishes of the trustees.
So, second?
We have a motion from Ms. Waugh, second from Mr. Martin. Further discussion? Student trustee?
Aye.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously with the student trustee in the affirmative. The final action item tonight is the adoption of resolution number 583, approval of the Public Agencies Post-Employment Benefits Trust administered by the Public Agency Retirement Services. Dr. Verdian?
Well, it has always been the wish of several board members for us to establish an irrevocable trust account where we will be putting the funds to cover all our unfunded liabilities. A process was established at the college to identify the various groups, and at the last board meeting, this board voted for us to go with the Public Agency Retirement Services. And now I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Story to tell us exactly what is going to happen subsequent to the board taking action on the item tonight.
Okay. So at the last board meeting, as Dr. Verdian mentioned, we were given approval to move forward with the firm PARS to manage our irrevocable trust. This resolution is the next phase in establishing the irrevocable trust. The resolution is authorizing the district to establish the irrevocable trust, and once it's established, then we can start transferring our monies that have been set aside into the irrevocable trust. So this is just the next phase for the authorization of establishing the trust.
Further discussion? We have in front of us, the motion is to
Bless you.
approve the public agencies post.
Just,
we'll get to
sorry,
it.
Mike, yeah. Sorry.
Just telling people what's here, and there's a resolution. Mr. Osterling?
Oh, I just wanted to make a very quick comment that this is a really important thing, and it's been a long time in coming, and the person who has been advocating for this is Trustee Martin, and I appreciate your efforts, and we're almost at the finish line here. No further comment.
Do you want to make a motion?
Move to approve.
We have a motion for Mr. Osterling, a second for Mr. Selvage. Anybody else have a comment on this? If not, student trustee?
Aye.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, abstentions, motion carries unanimously with the student trustee in the affirmative. We now move to information items. Dr. Verdian?
Thank you, Dr. Fellow. As you know, our spring semester is well underway, and our enrollment continues to hold strong despite substantial challenges in our field. Our most recent data reports a student headcount of nearly 26,000 credit students and 2,800 non-credit students. And we continue to refine and strengthen our enrollment management strategies, and I would like to applaud the work of Dr. Juni and Dr. Bell and all the other people who have helped work so hard to maximize our enrollment. One strategy we are pursuing to increase that enrollment is the offering of late start courses this spring. We will have nearly 200 course sections starting in late April that will help our students gain even more credits toward their educational goals. I encourage our staff, our students, to familiarize themselves with the second semester classes. This week, we are offering a broad range of training sessions to meet our obligations related to equal employment opportunities. Faculty and staff have been attending the sessions, which are led by Dr. Chris Cullinan, a leading expert in EEO issues at colleges and universities around the country. And we will integrate this training in our hiring processes going forward. We are also pleased to be focusing on completion efforts. And as you know, last Thursday during our Flex activities, our entire campus came together on the topic of completion takes a community. Today we hosted 2 experts from Washington State to help inspire and examine our practices so that we can help even more students make it across the finishing line. I would like to thank Dr. Olivo for recommending the 2 experts who joined us today to share what they've been doing in the state of, in Washington State regarding completion. Also today we hosted representatives from our 4-year institutions as part of University Day. As a leader in transfers in the state of California, we are pleased to be offering this close-up access to our students. It's just another way we can help them to complete their studies at PCC. You may, those of you who read the LA Times, may have seen an article today in the LA Times which featured PCC prominently as an institution which is in Southern California and yet has transfer agreements with UCs in the north, UC Merced, UC Davis, UC Santa Cruz, And those are students that are guaranteed admissions if they complete the courses that we have agreed upon with the UCs. And they also, if they obtain a certain GPA. And the next thing I want to address also is, as we've done in years past, our cross-cultural center is sponsoring a day-long student trip to Manzanar in Central California on April 28th. As you know, Manzanar was a concentration camp for Japanese Americans held against their will during World War II. The trip has consistently provided our students with a chance to explore this dark period in our history. Faculty and staff are invited to attend as well. And Dr. Susie Ling and the Cross Cultural Center are spearheading this effort. In 3 weeks, there will be 2 special events we will be hosting on campus. The first one is on Tuesday, April 10th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. We will once again welcome superintendents and high school principals from throughout our district to campus for a special luncheon. The subject this time will be our Math Success Center and all of the excellent work being done in our Division of Mathematics and Computer Science. And on Friday, April 13, we will welcome local elected leaders to the Foothill campus for our annual legislative breakfast, where we have an open conversation about issues of interest to our students and our district. That event starts with breakfast at 8 a.m., and I hope you will be able to join us. As did Dr. Fellow, I also would like to congratulate the 7 faculty members who received tenure today. And this will conclude my report. Thank you.
Any questions? We'll move on now to shared governance with Dr. Foster. Where's your assistant? She's quiet.
Sure. One second. I thought Ms. Marina had left already, but I would like to congratulate Ms. Marina Saranyan on her new job as Director of Internal Audit.
Congratulations.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
Sure, Dr. Foster.
Good evening. It's good to see all of you. We just had our PD day, our flex day on Thursday, and so over 700 employees showed up, and the theme was completion. So it takes a community to complete. And of course, we designed the day so that we could respond to some of the new funding formula from the Chancellor's Office, and of course, to help our students meet their educational outcomes. And so we worked collaboratively with student services, counseling in particular, to do a morning activity where we took a journey to completion through the students' eyes. And so we had 6 different breakouts with over 100 people in each one, and really awesome facilitators, bringing everyone through a student's journey to coming into PCC, the application process, the matriculation process, trying to get classes, and then trying to transfer, getting a certificate. And we're hearing nothing but really great feedback from it. A lot of people weren't aware of how difficult it was for students to actually apply and get onto campus, and have a greater appreciation for their grit once they're in class. And so we asked them all to create a commitment, some sort of strategy that they were going to do to help in completion. And we're now tallying all of that, and we're going to be sending a follow-up email to the campus and try to build on this momentum until next Flex Day in the fall. So
Sounds great.
Thank
you,
you.
Dr. Foster. Mr. Footner.
We have no report, thank you. Not tonight.
Thank you. Ms. Joseph.
Hi, good evening. The Senate will be offering 2 scholarships this spring, one for a student scholarship and the other an employee scholarship. We will also be swearing in Rochelle Allen and Jessica Osuguera on April 4th to fill 2 Senate vacancies. And in the interest of ensuring professional development opportunities for our constituents, the Senate facilitated 2 workshops on Flex Day, Demystifying Classified Senate and Professional Development. this concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, super. And finally, Ms. Lamb.
Good evening. So last Wednesday, we held our walkout against violence, which was our contribution to the national walkout that was happening, as well as a closer alternative for those that were on campus and still wanted to attend. And so at exactly 10:17, we held a moment of silence for the 17 victims that were lost in Parkland. And we also displayed silhouettes of their names and their ages as well. And also we provided poster boards so students can voice their demands or any opinions or concerns that they had pertaining to campus safety or anything about the issue. And soon, next week on March 27th, we will be starting our community nights, which is actually put on by our Vice President of Business Affairs, who just spoke earlier today. And the point of the event is to promote interactive dialogues between students and professors. And so there will be a 6-part series that's going to start next Tuesday, and then we'll be continuing following after. And so each night, a different professor will be discussing a different topic, and will give students the opportunity to ask questions and really build a relationship with the professors outside of the classroom. And so on April 4th, I believe, with Associated Students joint meeting with y'all, we have collected a lot of very real and very raw feedback from students with our Advocacy Week and our gun violence walkout, as well as all of the events. So we're really excited to present that to you guys and to see what's going on with the students. So thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you. And now we will turn to the Board of Trustees with our student trustee.
Emily, yeah. Good evening, everyone. So as President Kylie Lamb mentioned, Associated Students is currently preparing for the joint meeting with the board in early April. They are looking forward to presenting the various events and initiatives they plan during the academic year, such as their Advocacy Week, Mental Health Awareness Campaign, and the recent national walkout they had in conjunction to the national effort on school safety and refined gun laws. Also, they have a set of events planned for the rest of the academic year, such as community nights. Additionally, I am planning a hygienic products drive with the Caduceus, which is the medical club on campus, and we are working to add on the hygienic products in the Lancer Food Pantry. And as of now, the dates will be held on Wednesday, April 11th, and Thursday, April 12th. Also, I am a committee member of the Presidential Search Committee, and we recently finished looking over applications. It was a very interesting and new process for me as I gained insight to the inner functionings of the college and the selection criteria, as well as the values we seek as an institution in our presidential candidates. And lastly, I would like to report on the concerns of some international students across campus. Many feel that the International Student Office doesn't work to accommodate them to their best potential, and they don't go above and beyond in their services. For instance, an international student proposed to me that he had been looking for affordable housing, and instead of walking him through the process, they had proposed to him affordable websites that did present to him affordable options. But the student, regardless, as someone who had newly moved to the United States, he felt like confused and lost. So it is circumstances of such that the international students feel the office can better improve. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Emily. Well done. Dr. Selvage.
No announcement.
Ms. Brown.
Actually, I do have a sort of comment. So I attended that St. Gabriel Economic Summit, I think with my colleague, and the forecast for growth was interesting, but I actually left there pretty depressed. And the reason I was depressed is because, and just going by what you're talking about, is that we all know that the jobs that are being created, which are, I call them $2 jobs, really. And those are the big stuff that they talk about as though it's really a win. Affordable housing, my God, people cannot live anymore. So what I really want to propose, and I'll be really working very hard to see how we at PCC, with our new Northwest Pasadena, can find ways to encourage, one, our students to realize that they need to really choose careers that really can provide them good paying jobs. I mean, that is the key, because they cannot live anymore in Pasadena or San Gabriel Valley. And it's good and important that they go to school. We know that. But we really got to push that our kids get into STEMs, in constructions, in jobs that they can get a house to live into, an apartment. So the forecast was cute, to put the last, but it's the reality is that we, the middle class, poor students, you guys are in for a really, really rude awakening. So I'm very putting the pressure on Dr. Bell and our superintendent and our faculty to really start talking to our students, to give them hope, because right now the hope is like, so that is my 2 cents, and believe me, I'm going to be talking a lot about it.
I just make a comment. I'm glad you brought this up, Ms. Brown, because I was there. And what was interesting for me is the homeless population. LA is second to New York City, but LA is first in that nothing really is being done, and it's a worse situation here. But more striking was Dean Wu from Cal Poly Pomona, who said, correct me if I'm wrong, that the college students, it's 1 out of 10 or 10 are homeless.
1 out of 10 CSU students
CSU students are homeless.
Yeah.
That's very shocking.
Yeah.
And then this week I learned that I was at a conference in Sacramento. We have 1 million people in the state of California that have absolutely no water. That's even more shocking in this day and age. Mr. Osterling.
First of all, I'd like to start out by commending those students at PCC and nationwide who participated in the national walkout. Your parents, who are supposed to be making rules to protect you and keep your campuses safe, have abdicated. And I commend you for attending the national walkout, and I encourage you to persist, because what we've seen recently with other movements, if you persist in getting your voice out there, sometimes you actually can affect change. So I'm very encouraged and hope that you continue. Let me continue on. I attended the LA EDC economic forecast and also the San Gabriel. Trustee Brown was there. Dr. Fellow was there, but he was sitting at the table with the big shots, so we couldn't get him to sit at the PCC table. And Trustee Selvage also attended one of those. And everything that Trustee Brown said is true, and I'm going to save everybody 8 hours of PowerPoint slides and graphs and boil it down to this. In LA County and in our area, the San Gabriel Valley, basically it's the same equation. All of the jobs that we lost in the last economic downturn, we've regained. So that sounds pretty good so far, but it's not good news. The jobs we lost tended to be in the manufacturing and construction sector with an average wage of $50,000. And the jobs that we gained back in this rebound are in what are called the service sector jobs, retail, hospitality, and the average wage in those jobs is $20,000. You can't live in LA County in the San Gabriel Valley for $20,000. That's the bleak outlook, but the point that I'm making here, and I know I'm preaching to the choir because I see Salvatrice in the audience there, is the importance of the strong workforce initiative and career and technical education, because at the same time we're seeing these grim statistics. There's 1 million mid-skilled jobs here in the state of California that are going unfilled because we, the community colleges and the other providers of those mid-skill education, need to produce those skilled students. So there is hope, but it's really, I can't emphasize enough the importance of our strong workforce initiative. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Hilsman.
All right, well,
welcome
I'm
back.
going to, thank you. I'm going to follow up on a couple of comments. First of all, I'm going to echo what Trustee Ostling said about the walkout. I was not here for that, but I commend all of you, your energy, and as he said, one person can make a difference and a lot of people can make a big difference. So keep up the good work. On the issue of employment, a couple things. First of all, don't believe every statistic you read. There's an old saying that there's lies, damn lies, and statistics. And I think that the statistic on employment growth is encouraging, but as Jim pointed out, it doesn't really mean a lot when you're talking about jobs that are paying 50% of what would essentially be a living wage. Just to sign a little bit of optimism here, I attended the foundation board meeting for the PCC this week, and we were delighted to have Salvatrice Como there, our Executive Director of Economic and Workforce Development. And the good news that was announced by Bobby Abram, which is that the foundation is looking into a cooperative effort with the college to develop a business council. And what this business council would be leaders in the business community who would provide several services. First of all, they would be a liaison between the college, the faculty, administration, and industry to determine what kind of jobs there might be out there for our students and to help direct the curriculum in those areas. So it's a real information flow that's very important, because sitting in an academic environment, we're not always in touch with the latest fast-moving developments in industry. So having a business council to help advise us is really important. The other thing is that for young college students, the best way to get a job is to be an intern. And so if we can develop through the business council and our own relationships in the community internships for our students, this will lead to better paying jobs and skills, because you can learn it in the book, but also learning it on the job is terribly important. So I'm very excited to be on the board as this new workforce development initiative really ramps up. And I'm also delighted that the PCC Foundation is participating in this, because there are a lot of folks in that foundation who are really dedicated to PCC and our students, and who can be of great help as we solve this problem that we're all talking about and that we're so concerned about nationally. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hilsman. Mr. Martin.
No report.
Ms. Waugh.
Well, everyone is commenting on things that are near and dear to my heart, the strong workforce and the internship. So, so I'm really pleased that this board is really looking so closely at these issues, and I think it just really echoes again what we said earlier, that a future meeting and a study session to really look at the key performance indicators and how we're really moving the needle for our students is really important. So I hope that we will see that soon. And I think that, and the internships, I think, are really important also. It's something that I've been working on for some time, and it's something that also came up in the API advisory meeting to Dr. Verdian, is many times our community offers internships, but we don't ever see the students apply, and we don't know where that goes. So I think if we had some way to centrally coordinate that and to make sure that the students get that outreach would be important. So I wanted to thank the college for the API symposium. I just got the stats back. So that happened on March 3rd. And, the Outreach Center and the Transfer Center just does such a great job. We've been working with Tamika Alexander. I think this is the 5th year that we've had this symposium. Dr. Olivo has been key in this. So we had 22 students from 22 high schools participate. Some of those were international and private high school students. There were over 150 participants. 28 of those students signed up for the video gaming technology apprenticeships that the Business Center and Dr. Olivo brought forward the expertise. And we had 61 on-site registrations. So these are things that are really important to our community that we then echo throughout the community about how important PCC is in our community, even if we have four-year bound students. Then I also wanted to talk about the CCC. So we had our board meeting this last weekend, and the issues of the guided pathways and the strong workforce, the digital college came up. Santa Monica gave a presentation on their guided pathways, and they talked about their 5-year plan and what their key performance indicators were, and how the trustees will then work with the college to ensure that the community is aware of what those performance indicators are, what those goals are, and what the intention of the college is to meet the needs of the community. So I hope that we could have something like that in the future. I think that would be helpful for all of us. Digital college, so Executive Vice Chancellor Tom Quinlivan talked about the Executive College and or the digital college, and I think that even though there may be some resistance from the troops below, I think this is going to go forward. This is the governor's initiative. She talked about over 2.1 million potential Californians who are already going out of state to get digital college access because we don't offer it here. And Arizona has already indicated that one of their key outreaches will be to California to bring those students over to Arizona. So that is a loss for us. I think it's an opportunity loss for us if we don't get on board and move this forward. I also wanted to talk a little bit about the funding formula, and I sent the last iteration that we got at the state for the funding formula, although we know there will be several iterations. But I really want to thank Dr. Verdian. So although Dr. Martin Martinez from East LA College is the CEO representative for the funding formula, he did bring in other college presidents, and Dr. Verdian participated. And because of having presence at the table, and although this takes away from our day-to-day tasks, I think that PCC was able to give input so that we are minimizing, I think, any potential negative impacts of the funding formula. So I think it does work to our benefit. Is that correct, Dr. Verdian? So it will be helpful for us. And it's because we have someone who is knowledgeable like Dr. Verdian who is able to speak for us. And I also got that feedback from others who were sitting at the table, how appreciative they were of your expertise in this area. So thank you. And lastly, just wanted to remind everybody that the League will be having our annual trustees meeting will be in Valencia in May, so not too far away from us, and we will be having the elections of the board. So you'll be seeing some familiar names on there. And then we will have the Asian American Pacific APAs in higher education in, April 12th, 13th, and 12th and 13th, right? So I'll be doing a presentation with BOG member Fan and Director and Trustee Gilbert Wong from San Jose. And we'll be talking about Asian Americans in higher education and the impact that we can make in that area. So I hope you will all attend. Thank you.
Ms. Wah, I purposely wanted you to speak last because I want to talk about you first. Ms. Wah is going to be honored, I think it's April 5th, by the San Gabriel Valley Civic Alliance for her work in education. And there'll be a big luncheon in Baldwin Park, so congratulations.
Thank you.
I also want to mention that the foundation president, Mr. Jim Sarney, was honored. It's a great honor a few weeks ago by the Los Angeles Archdiocese, the Catholic Archdiocese. He was one of 5 people in the community of Los Angeles who was honored for his civic activities, and Bobby was there. And thank you for allowing me to be there. It was a great honor, and he certainly deserves that. And finally, I do stay in touch with our student, Ryan, at Harvard University. Yeah. And he has been, Yale, excuse me, Connecticut, where I'm from. And he has told me that he's been accepted at Oxford for a master's degree.
Yeah.
Very, very good. proposed future business meetings. I think we have one in April 4th. With the student bodies. I'm looking forward to Associated Students, looking forward to that. Proposed future agenda items.
So President Fellow, once again, I'd like to reiterate that I hope that we will have a briefing for an extensive briefing for the trustees on both the strong workforce, what our key performance indicators are, and what our plans are going forward with this new funding, and also the new initiative of the guided pathway.
I think we can get you the report, if I'm not mistaken, Salvatrice, by the May meeting. You think that should be possible? Okay. Dr. Juni, is that okay for the May meeting? All right.
Okay. If there's no further business and there's no objections, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.